Good morning, everybody. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia.
Good morning, everybody.
It gives me great pleasure to bring you this day 2 of the Crossroads Mastermind. So we started yesterday, and I was sharing processes, ideas, for women, for men, for anybody who is at a crossroads in life, trying to decide where you are now and where you want to go going forwards. And we had a really interesting session yesterday, which I'm going to continue for the next 2 days. And I'm going to share with you techniques to hit your top 3 goals faster. Now, Pilani, I'm going to ask you to repeat what you shared in the beginning there. What did you take out of yesterday's mastermind? And what are your top 3 goals? What do you envisage for yourself, for your life going forwards?
Okay, thank you. From yesterday's presentation, I learned 2 things. The first one was how you always manage to get back on track whenever your business idea gets to have challenges economically, or maybe when the situation changes. And then the second one was how strong you are as an individual, because every time when you have a problem, you don't sensitize the problem, but rather you stand up and think of ways on how you can solve the problem for yourself and also for different generations.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think the reason why I bounce back so quick and so fast is that I learned very earlier in life that the only constant in life is change. Nothing ever stays the same. Everything is constantly changing. And when you accept this, you can dance with life a little bit easier. You anticipate that things can go wrong, and they will. And when they do go wrong, you respond in a different way, in that you are prepared for it. It doesn't come as a surprise. So I think that's been the biggest gift for me, having a life that has had constant change and dancing with it and not resisting change when it comes. So, like I said, we're going to focus on techniques for you to hit your top 3 goals. So I really want you to think about, where are you now and where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years? By the time you hit 100, if you get to 100, where do you actually see yourself to be? So I started doing meditation, and I came across Jose Silva, and he was an American psychologist who worked in the United States Army, and he created back in the 60s what is known as the Silva Method. And the Silva Method is a way of meditating, and it takes your mind to an altered state of mind through meditation, where you visualize your goals and you make positive statements about your goals. Now, a lot of people do affirmations. We wake up in the morning, you've got a set of affirmations, things that you say to yourself that are positive. But the problem why affirmations don't work sometimes is because that little voice that's in your head will tell you that'll never happen. So we have an internal dialogue that goes on in our heads. And no matter how positive you're putting out those affirmations, unless you believe it and internalize it, the mind chatter comes in and starts telling you that it's not possible, you don't have the time, you don't have the money, you don't have the skills. And so we focus on all of the things that we don't have, to a point where you stop believing that you can achieve the goals that you're trying to set out for yourself. Now, when you go into a meditative state, and especially using the Silva Method, and I recommend that you guys go on YouTube, there's lots of free videos by Jose Silva that you can meditate to every evening. And it lowers the brainwave frequency. So the normal brainwave beats at 14 to 21 cycles per second. And with the silver method, as you're meditating, there is a beating sound that they make, and you can hear it in your head, that slows down your brain frequency to 7 to 14 cycles per second. In fact, I got to a point where there were times when I'm stressed out, when I'm worrying about things and I can't go to sleep. So I suffer from insomnia. The only way I can go to sleep in like 5-10 minutes is by using the silver method. So I recommend you do this. And when you go into the meditative state, start visualizing your goals and making positive statements about your goals while you're in that state. It kind of eliminates the crazy little voice I was talking about that we hear in our heads, and you wake up feeling very, very positive as well. So that is one process that has really helped me stay focused, keeping my eye on my goal, and not letting myself self-sabotage the vision or the goals that I'm dreaming about. The other thing about this as well is, sometimes we start to think, who do I think I am to be able to achieve this goal? We are our own worst critics. You would be surprised at the things that people say to themselves. And I always say to people, when you hear that little voice coming, that self-critic coming into your mind, would you say those things to a friend if you were talking to a friend? The minute you can externalize that and think about yourself like your best friend, it shifts everything in how you use that internal dialogue to motivate and to energize yourself as well. So I created a process called the Visioneering Toolbox. And the Visioneering Toolbox is a tool that helps clear your inner eye. It helps you tap into your intuition and really understand how your intuition talks to you. And it's very, very different for everyone. For some people, your intuition could be visions that you have that guide you. For me, sometimes it's a voice that will tell me to go left and go right and make choices that I sometimes think back and think, why did I do that? But it's a voice that I hear in my head that is kind of guiding me. Or sometimes my intuition talks to me through my dreams. So a lot of the things that I've created have come very, very clearly through visions in a dream. And these dreams are interesting in the sense that when I'm in that dream state, I can smell, I can taste, I can touch. It's as if I have kind of teleported into my future, and I literally live that dream with all of my senses. So that's how I distinguish when intuition is talking to me, whether it's just an ordinary dream or a dream that I should be acting on and a vision that I know is coming to fruition. So the Visioneering Toolbox helps you unlock your passion, because I believe that your purpose lies in the things that you are passionate about, the things that you love to do. This visualization process helps you tap into abundance, into realizing that there is abundance in this universe. There is so much that can come to you. And abundance should be like how you feel when you breathe. When you breathe, you know that there's more air that is going to come into your system. So money, wealth, abundance can operate in the same way. When you believe that you can tap into this infinite source of possibilities, an infinite source of money, of finances, of good things that can come into your life, it should happen almost like you are breathing. Now, a lot of people think that abundance is limited. I don't believe that. So shifting your belief system around that as well is really important. And then visualizing your purpose. How do you tap into the reason why you are on this planet? What is your purpose? Why are you here? How can you find your purpose if you haven't found it already? And for me, I decided on my purpose because some of things that I've done in life that kind of give me a source of inspiration, like speaking, for example. I could do this 24/7 every single day because it energizes me. It makes me feel good. I know that when I am speaking, I help other people, I motivate and I energize them. So your purpose in life lies in the things that you do intuitively, the things that you were never taught how to do. You know, if you watch a little child learning how to walk, nobody tells them that this is how you walk. They will stand up and fall down and stand up and fall down and stand up and fall down. And then one day they're putting one foot in front of the other and they start walking. So we all have these intuitive gifts, things that we do without being taught. So what was it for you? If you look at soccer players, if you look at musicians from a very early age in their lives, they were doing these things without being told how to do it. They would be drawn to musical instruments. For me personally, I was that little girl who was punished for speaking all of my life. I was the little girl who was at the back of the class, cracking jokes, making my friends laugh, making my teachers very, very angry because I was distracting everybody from the lesson for the day. And now I get paid to do this. I get paid to speak. So it was a gift that was very intuitive. Fortunately, my parents realized the gift that I had. My mother decided to channel the energy, pushed me to join the debate club in high school. My father encouraged me to enter the speaking competitions in school, to a point where from the age of 13, I started winning regional competitions from my region in Zimbabwe, competing against 18-year-olds. So I excelled with anything that had to do with speaking. So the Visioneering Toolbox is going to help you achieve your goals. It's going to boost your self-confidence. Self-confidence comes from you standing in a space where you are doing the things that you're really good at. A lack of self-confidence comes from fear of making a mistake, fear of making a fool of yourself, fear of failure. But when you're good at doing what you do, your self-confidence is boosted. So playing in that space is really important. The Visioneering Toolbox will also help you accelerate your health. You know, after I went through my challenges with heart failure, I realized that my health was my wealth. Unless I was happy, unless I was in a good mental state of mind, unless I was physically well, there was nothing I could do to create abundance in my life, to generate money, to keep myself alive. So your health is your wealth. How can you accelerate your health? Because if you accelerate your health, it accelerates your finances, it accelerates your relationships, it impacts on everything else you're going to do in life. Spotting hidden opportunities. So I've been one of those people who has been very, very lucky. And when I was creating the Visioneering Toolbox, I wasn't sure how I could explain how I've attracted the most amazing opportunities that have created abundance in my life. But what I've come to realize as I kind of decoded all of my stories of abundance is that you have to be prepared to see the opportunities when they come. Now, what do I mean by this? A lot of times opportunities come to all of us. Some people see them, some people don't. And the only way you will tap into hidden or to spot these hidden opportunities is by being fully present. What does it mean to be present? It means every single time you have an interaction with another human being, be curious. Ask yourself, why am I meeting this person? What are the gifts they're going to give me in this conversation? Don't think about where you're supposed to be in 5 minutes time, 10 minutes time, and an hour's time. Be present fully to that person. Listen to what they're saying. Ask them who they are. Ask them what they do. They might have a solution to something that you are working on already, or they might have an opportunity that you can tap into. And that has really been the story of my incredible, almost miraculous opportunities. It's the people that I've met, my tuning into who they are, my being curious about who they are, and creating these really authentic relationships to a point where when I reflect back, I can actually see all the dots that have led me to where I am and to the things that I've been able to create. The other thing I'd love you to do is to create and break free from stress. So stress is created by us being focused on things that we want to come in the future, things that we have no control over, sometimes things that we don't really have the right skills to be able to create, and we create this anxiety within ourselves. Or sometimes stress is created when you have a time limit in terms of reaching a goal, getting something finished and getting something done. I've managed to turn stress around and make stress my friend. I always tell people that unless I am given a deadline, I don't really achieve anything. I always wait until the last minute. Stress energizes me. Stress puts me under pressure. And so I turn that energy of anxiety and stress into excitement and something positive. So stress can be a mindset where you make a choice when you start feeling that anxiety and you stop and you tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to be anxious. I'm going to transmute this energy into excitement instead, because it really is the same energy. It's just how you decide to use that energy, whether it's going to be positive or whether it's going to be negative. The other thing that you can also think about is depression. Now, depression is created when you focus on things that have happened in the past, things you can't go back to and change. So a lot of times when you're feeling depressed, it's those things that you have no control over, things that you experienced in your past, and you can't actually go back to them and change them. So the thing to remember is what is in the past is gone. What's coming in the future may or may not happen. The only place you can live is in the moment, in this very moment, in listening to this very presentation and not worrying about what you're supposed to do next, or worrying about all of the money that you lost in your business or abundance that you lost in your life. So I've been learning from a lot of teachers. Neale Donald Walsch is a famous American who wrote a book called Conversations with God. And I do recommend that you pick up some of his books, go online and listen to his online videos. In a book called Awaken the Species, Neale Donald Walsch talks about how the universe is looking for allies, that the universe is working through us to create in this world. I learned one thing from that book, and I always tell people that sometimes I don't remember book titles, I don't remember who wrote the book, but I started now writing down the titles and the chunks of text that make an impression on me when I read books. And what I got out of this book is that Neale Donald Walsch said, your life is not about you, but rather your life is about everyone that you are going to touch. So when you make it about everyone you're going to touch, you walk into a room and you tell yourself that your intention by being in that room. Okay, so in this presentation by Neale Donald Walsch, he talked about that when you walk into a room, make it your intention. How can I heal the room? How can I be of service to the people in front of me? Now, I started doing this when I was giving my presentations. I remember I was giving a presentation. I was in Mexico, and it was really interesting. I went there with a prepared PowerPoint presentation, and for some reason, the technology stopped working. And it was so frustrating. My PowerPoint and the data projector weren't connecting. And everything I had to give to the people who were at this event was on my PowerPoint. And it got really frustrating. I tried everything, nothing was working. And then my intuition talked to me, and this voice in my head said to me, Gertrude, take off your shoes and ground yourself. So I was wearing very high heels. So I decided to just take off the heels and stand on stage. And I closed my eyes and I said the words, how may I serve? How can I be of service to the people who are in this room? And something magical happened that day. Something took over my body to a point where I delivered one of the best speeches I ever gave. And I remember people coming up to me after the speech and asking me to write down quotes of things that I had said, and I couldn't remember what I said. I actually had to watch the video of that speech. I was in front of 3,000 people and I delivered a speech with no aids, with no PowerPoints. It came straight from my heart because I wanted to be of service to the people in that room. So I knew the theme of the presentation. I knew the theme of that particular conference. I was their keynote speaker, and I just spoke around that theme and shared stories about my life that talked to the theme of the conference. And then I discovered that this was probably going to be the easiest and the most magical way that I could present, because I realized that I got out of my head and I dropped straight into my heart. And something magical happens when you communicate from your heart. I remember I was selling my book at the end of this presentation, and a man came up to me and said to me, Gertrude, you moved me to tears. I don't cry when I listen to anybody speaking. What did you do to me? Do you mind if I hug you? So he put his arms around me and I zapped him. There was like an electrical charge. You know how sometimes you are wearing something and there's static when somebody touches you? And this man was very hairy. The hair on his arms was standing this high. He was wearing a shirt and the shirt was slightly open and the hairs on his chest were pushing up his shirt. It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. And he said to me, Gertrude, do you realize that you channeled this presentation? I said, what do you mean? I don't know. I don't channel. I don't do that. He said, something is working through you. You channel this presentation. You really know how to use your heart. And he told me to go onto the Heart Math Foundation's website, the Heart Math Institute, sorry. And I started studying with the Heart Math Institute. They give away a lot of free courses on this website. And it all talks about how to use your heart when you're communicating. And I learned that the human heart has got an electrical field that spans the length of your arm. So if you put out your hands, when you are speaking and you know how to drop into your heart and speak, your heart puts out a pulse that other people can feel. And now when I deliver my presentations, I can actually see the waves going out into the audience. I feel it when I'm doing it online. I know that I've got a very unique way of connecting with people using my voice. And I learned so much on the Heart Math Institute's website, learning how to really harness the energy of my heart to communicate. So if any of you are speakers, if any of you deliver presentations and workshops, I encourage you to go onto the Heart Math Institute's website so that every single time you're standing in front of another person, you're delivering a speech to a group of people, what you need to ask yourself is, how may I serve? And drop into your heart to deliver that presentation. That was something fascinating that really changed my speaking career in a very, very big way. I just want you guys to unmute and share with me what you have got out of this section of the presentation. Where are you now? Has this helped you clarify even just a little bit where you want to go and how you can get there? So, Aaliyah, I know you came in a little bit late. Welcome to the call. And if you're watching this on Facebook, you can type in the chat. I'll be listening into your questions on Facebook. And even if you watch this later, I will respond to your questions in the chat on Facebook. So, Pilani, Aaliyah, if you want to come online, join us. Good to see you there this morning. How are you? Awesome. Pilani, you can start because you were listening from the beginning, and then we'll go to you, Aaliyah.
Good morning, Aaliyah.
Good morning.
How are you?
Very good, very good. I'm driving.
Oh, you're in the car.
Quietly you're driving and listening.
Okay, good. Be careful.
I stopped to answer your questions.
Excellent. Okay, so you can give us your answer.
Okay.
One of you can
go
start.
on, Aaliyah.
Okay, I can start. Gertrude, yesterday was our first meeting. And I have to tell you, for half a year, I'm searching. But your words somehow put all dots together. It all clicked together. I see now what I do. I see myself there, and I see how I can present it, and I see how it's all coming together. So yes, you do talk. You do talk through your heart.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think, what I bring to people that I know I do really well is I just reflect back to you who you are. You had all of these answers already, Aaliyah. You had all of the pieces to this puzzle you're trying to put together. And sometimes it's in conversation with someone else that the pieces start to fall into place.
Exactly. That's what happened. I felt so inspired yesterday after our meeting.
That is just awesome feedback. Thank you so much for that. That's really something nice for you to reflect back to me because, when I was developing the Visioneering Toolbox, I couldn't articulate what I was doing. All I knew is that my biggest gift in life is that I'm given visions. I know what the end result of what I'm trying to create looks like. And so I never go to how am I going to do it? Because when you go to how, you start saying, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the skills, I don't have, and you kill the vision, you kill the dream before you start. So where I go to is why. Why am I doing this? What is the impact I can have on other people's lives by doing this? Then the how shows up. So the how showed up for you in me. You were on a quest to try and put this together. You are putting out to the universe, to God, to whatever it is you believe in, to find a way to put this together. And then by some magical coincidence, we connected. You came on a mastermind called the Visioneering Toolbox with Crossroads and masterminding to help you get from where you are to where you want to go. And now everything has kind of started clicking into place. So it's going to be interesting for me to continue working with you to see how you're going to do it. But I can sense a level of clarity in you because sometimes we get in our own way as well. You are in the own way of the vision by having that mind chatter I was talking about earlier, that little voice that pops in your head and says, Who do you think you are that you can impact on other people's lives? How do you think you're going to do this? You don't even have the money. You don't even have the skills. So thank you for reflecting that back to me. I really love that. Thank you so much. Pelani, share with us, what did you get?
Actually, Gertrude, you just helped me to visualize my vision, because every time when you ask me what is your vision, I used to think, oh my God, what am I going to say to her? Because I have a dream, I know my dream, and I know what I want to achieve. But for me to just note it down and work on it, it has been a problem. So after listening to you speaking from your heart, I felt like, okay, so this is how she wants me to always do things. She always wants me to think out of the box, and she wants me to really believe in myself. So actually, this webinar, you have just helped me to reestablish myself, and also to understand the power that is in me, and also to work on my vision and try to expand it a little bit. So I believe that after this, I'll be able to now work on it and try to become your mini Gertrude.
I love that. I love that. There's nothing like having a role model or somebody you can copy and emulate when you're getting started. That's what I've done most of my life. You know, I look for examples of the possibility. I look for other women who have done what I want to do. I see how they've done it. You know, some of my biggest mentors are people I don't even know, people like Oprah. I look at Oprah's life and where she came from and what she's done. People like Ariana Huffington, who created this amazing platform and sold it for billions of dollars. And if they could do it, why can't I? Is the question I always ask myself, right? So the importance of writing down your vision and writing down your goals on paper is because everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. A thought is a vibration that goes out into the universe. And what I found is the minute that I start writing things down on a piece of paper, I'm bringing it out of my head and into physical reality, even if it's just notes that I've put down on a piece of paper. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So when you script, this is called scripting. When you script your future, you're committing by inking it, by putting it on paper. They say that for somebody to build a house, you can have an idea of what the house, your ideal house, is going to look like, right? It's going to have 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, what do you call it? A garage, a lounge, a kitchen. You've got a rough idea of the layout of that house. But for you to build the house, you're going to find an architect who will sketch the diagram of what the house will look like and give you the floor plan, correct? Then out of that floor plan, you'll create a 3-dimensional image of the visual of what the house will look like when it's built. So you can't build a house unless you have articulated how many rooms you want, you know, how many bathrooms, how many toilets, the kitchen, the lounge, your study. You can't build the house unless you've put it into words. Then you draw a diagram of what it will look like. Then you turn it into a 3-dimensional image of what the house actually looks like when it's finished. And you give it to the builder, and then the builder builds it. So these are the steps, right? It's a thought that you put down on paper. You get really clear what it looks like in the end, and then you can create it. So you never have to work out the how. You know, when I was married, my husband and I were very, very different in how we created. I didn't need to know where the bricks were to build the house. I didn't need to know what the plan looked like to create the vision. All I needed to do is to get clear on what the end picture looked like. Then I would start attracting the strangest people who came into my life, who were my mentors, who were my coaches. A series of coincidences starts to happen when you work this way. You will attract one person who will say something, or somebody who will connect you to the next person. And before you know it, you look back and you're like, how did I do that? And it's a very, very magical way to live. I have been very, very fortunate that I have done this for a very long time. It started when I was about to turn 21. I was 20 years old. I was living in London. I didn't have a scholarship. I got pregnant 3 months after I got there. I lost all 3 of my jobs. I ran out of food. I ran out of money. And I started talking to the universe to guide me. And I started getting these promptings. I started seeing these little coincidences when things showed up in 2s or in 3s. That was my path. I would know that this person has come for a reason. And I would reconnect with people. The next thing I knew, I found myself living in Norway, acting in a play about Nelson Mandela. I toured the whole of Europe, and I did not have money. I didn't have a cent. So I discovered it at a very early age, and then it became almost like a muscle. Your intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the more you use it. That's how intuition becomes a tool or a skill that you use without going in your head and thinking about making a decision. So when I've made decisions on people that I'm going to work with, who are going to be my coaches, who are going to be my mentors, I'm very, very intuitive about it. Like I took on a business coach who charges $30,000 a month to work with him. And I said to him, Alex, I don't have that kind of money, but I believe I can make the money if you can show me how to make the money. He said to me, Gertrude, I'll take you on. How much do you have? So I paid a deposit of $1,000. And literally in 30 days, I had made $30,000 to pay this man to be my coach. So I did it because for me, it was a challenge to show to myself that I could do it. So sometimes you have to dangle a carrot at the end to challenge yourself to believe in the possibility. And it worked like magic. So yesterday I said to all of you, what are your top 3 goals? Tell me your top 3 goals. Start with you, Pelani, and then we'll go to you, Olia. And am I pronouncing your name right?
No, but it's okay. It's
No,
Pelina.
you have to correct me, both of you.
Yes, it's Pelina.
Pelina, I keep saying Pelani, Pelina. Always correct people if they say your name incorrectly. Okay, so what are your top 3 goals?
My top 3 goals. The first one is to become a commercialized speaker. The second one is to have masters in finance. And then the third one is to find myself working abroad and also doing some community development in my country, Botswana.
Beautiful. Now, the first goal is going to be where you're going to make your source of revenue, right? That's where you're going to make your money.
Yes.
How much are you going to make in the first year?
In the first year, $10,000.
Okay. I like that because it's a very realistic goal. You know, sometimes we project goals that are so way out there, they're not achievable. So being realistic is good. But I read a quote that said, if you are not happy with your current reality, be unrealistic. So if I were you, I would multiply that goal by 10. Aim to make $100,000 in the first year. They say that when you're shooting to the stars, shoot as high as you can, because sometimes you'll fall somewhere in the middle. You might not make it right to the top, okay?
Yes.
So write it down, and I want you to put this on a piece of paper. All three of those goals, you're going to put it in an envelope and you're going to post it to yourself. And don't open that envelope for a year, okay?
Yes.
We're going to revisit this in a year's time, and we're going to see where you're going to be.
Okay.
Because again, by posting it, you're throwing it to the universe and saying, universe, this is what I want. And it's going to come back to you, and you're just going to keep that letter sealed. Don't open it. Put it in your wardrobe. Put it in your cupboard. I did this with a friend who wanted to get married. So she wanted to find out how I met my second husband, right? So I went through my divorce and I told my kids, I'm going to find my next husband quick, fast, and easy. And I'm going to visualize him coming into my life. I'm going to write love letters to a guy I don't know. And I wrote 60 letters in 2 years to a guy called Harry. It has turned into a love story, a book that I'm publishing this year called Dear Harry. And in the very first letter, I wrote what it will feel like when I met him. I wrote as if it had already happened. So fast track, almost 18 months later, I go on a date with a guy I met on a website, and he hugged me at the end of the evening. And it felt like I knew him. It felt like a line in my speech, in my first letter, where I said, with the very first hug, I felt the broken pieces of my soul come back together again as you heal me with love and with laughter. Now, I didn't pick what my next man was going to look like. I wrote down the qualities of the person I wanted to be with. He had to be kind. He had to be funny. He had to be gentle. Those were my prerequisites, and he had to love to dance. So I met a man who agreed to take up tango. We now dance tango every Wednesday. He didn't know how to do it, but he was open to doing it. And dancing is my place of joy. It is a place where I let go and I feel good. And so he ticked every single box. I didn't choose what he would look like. So a lot of women will write down that he's got to be tall, he's got to be dark, he's got to have blue eyes, he's got to have blonde hair. Those qualities are not as important as the essence of the human being you're going to share your life with. I ended up finding a guy who's 6'4", from Poland, white, not African, somebody I would never have dreamt of dating. And he is the most incredible soul on the planet. So for all of you ladies who are dreaming of a second relationship, a first relationship, don't worry about what a person looks like. It's the essence of the person you want to be with that you should be searching for. So try this. Start writing love letters to your next partner, to your next husband, and just turn it into a book of letters. And you will reflect back and read those letters when you've met that person, that person is ticking every single box that you had envisaged you would be with. So we'll finish with you, Olia. Now, am I pronouncing your name right? I am. Okay. What are your top 3 goals?
Okay. My financial goal is to get $300,000 this year.
Okay.
I was just listening to you. I was planning to get 200, but I added 100 over the top.
Yes, I like that.
Okay. My second goal is to become confident speaker.
Okay.
This year, to become a confident speaker.
Yeah.
And move towards that TED Talk. Move closer to TED Talk.
You're doing your TED Talk?
Yes. And my goal number 3, I have to think of.
Okay, that's okay. But by tomorrow, I want to know what that is.
Okay.
So the same thing for you. Write this down on paper. Now, what I do when I wake up every morning, when I'm working towards my goals, I plan it on a 1-year basis. Then I scale it down to in 6 months' time, in 3 months' time, monthly, weekly, daily goals. So if it's 300,000, in 6 months' time, you should have made 150,000. In 3 months' time, 75,000. Then divide that by 3 months so you get your monthly goals and your weekly goals. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So that's one thing that you guys need to do. And then the other thing with regards to the TED Talk, everybody knows that I coach people to get on TED. I'm a 3-time TED speaker. I want you to think about the one thing that you are going to be known for as a thought leader. If somebody was to Google your name and find you through a TED Talk, what is your idea worth spreading? You can answer if you like.
I came from a Siberian village, and my grandma was living with native people in Siberia. Siberian people, native people, they are very close to nature. And I, through my youth, I enjoy very much all these books about these native people, rules, and how they speak with nature, how they live in peace with trees, with forests, how they ask for something in their life. I give you a little story. 25 years ago, my mom and dad celebrated 25 years wedding anniversary, and I created for them what to do on this, just connecting to their roots. So I prepared for my father to plant a tree. It was a pine tree, cedar. And he was praying to cedar, asking for boys, because in our family we're only girls.
Okay.
And my mom was praying to the birch tree, which is woman. She's looking after woman.
Okay.
Both of them were praying, asking. Mom was asking for good pregnancy for her daughters, and my dad asking for men. You know what? 12 boys were born in our family after this. 12
Are you
boys.
serious?
Yes, 12 boys.
How many children did your mother have?
My mom has 3 daughters. My mom and dad, they have 3 daughters. And I have 2 children, daughter and son. But my 2 sisters each have 6 boys each.
That is incredible. So the dream did come true.
Yes.
I love it. So how does that relate to your TED Talk?
So I will read a little bit more because I need to turn it to one word. Like you do, I will put it together in one word. And it will be my sort of main thought, to be connected to the nature, and don't afraid to ask nature for what you need or what you want or what you do.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You're getting a real level of clarity there. Yeah, and that's so you remember when I said yesterday, what is going to be your point of difference as a TED speaker or as a speaker in general? What's going to make you stand out? What's going to make you different? So sometimes when you go back to your origins, you go back to your culture, you go back to who you are, that's really where your point of difference lies. And for those of us who are immigrants, Leah, you and I are in New Zealand, you're coming from Serbia, I'm coming from Zimbabwe, that gives us an edge. So thank you for playing the game. Thank you for tuning in today, everybody. I absolutely love how this is unfolding. I'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the final day. And I'll give you more tools that you can use to actually implement the Visioneering Toolbox. Tools like ways of remembering how intuition talks to you. Because we all have it, we're born with it. Some of us just developed it from a very young age. Some of us have forgotten that it's there and how to use it. So intuition is something we'll focus on tomorrow. And a couple of more tools that are in the toolbox to help you make your visions a reality and take you from where you are now to where you want to go. So thank you, everybody. This was fun. Thank you for coming online and joining me.
Eugenie, please send me the replay because I was driving. I missed the time.
Okay, I will send everybody the replay. But thank you for coming.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow, everybody. Bye for now.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Hello there, I'm Bob Proctor from The Secret, and it's a real pleasure to me to be working with Gertrude and her Visioneering Toolbox. Do you know, everything that has ever been created, from the camera that's recording this right now, to the monitor that you're watching on, all started with a vision in someone's mind. Do you know that the highest function that you're capable of is building visions? And everything that's going to come to your life in the future, of any consequence, is going to come because of the visions that you build. If you want to learn how to put the higher faculties of your mind to proper use, get this toolkit and put it to good use. Do you know you can have anything you want? I know it may sound like a gross exaggeration, but I get what I want. Gertrude's getting what she wants, because that's what we do. We're visionaries. And when you get visioneering, your whole life will change. Do what I tell you. Don't even look sideways. Don't ask anybody what they think you should do. Do what I'm suggesting. You'll never make another mistake as long as you live when you learn to build the right vision. This is Bob Proctor, and thank you.